My name is Leslie Stewart and I'm the Executive Director of FUNDAEC. FUNDAEC is the Foundation for the Application and Teaching of Science, a Baha'i-inspired organization that was created in 1974 in Colombia. And really the purpose of its creation, it was because the very first region where FUNDAEC worked was the Norte del Cauca region in Colombia. And there was this desire in the hearts of people of that region to really take in their hands their path of development, spiritual development and material development. So together with a group of young farmers in the region, there was these research action processes parallel to the lives of the people that FUNDAEC accompanied. So the question was to understand how these different life processes, and that is how education, production, or community organization, health, how these processes were developing in the region, and what will be certain changes that can be incorporated to these life processes so to work for the betterment and the well-being of the region. So out of these research action processes, gradually what emerged was this educational content that were systematizing the learning that was generated. And these materials, these educational materials, later on became part of programs that we conceived as programs of research action about different dimensions of community development. So for instance, one of the first programs was the SAT program, the Tutorial Learning System program, that in some way the basis, the foundation, the methodology of this program emerged from this very first group of young farmers. And they started to take what they were learning there to the communities they belonged to, so that in order to promote in Norte del Cauca an alternative path of development, because the region was suffering a lot from extensive sugarcane agriculture that had damaged many of the social fabric and the conditions of these people. So they decided to take these materials to their communities to teach youth how to learn about different alternative paths of development. And this was really the origin of everything. It was very small, but then gradually other NGOs in Colombia that were interested in the field of education for development got interested in these materials, and they asked FUNDAEC if they could use them and adopt them in their own regions. And out of this experience, that it became very well known in Colombia, because at some point the Ministry of Education recognized this program as a formal high school education for rural areas. And this program really started to grow in the 90s, and it reached around 40% of the municipalities of Colombia in close collaboration with 60 partner organizations. And out of this experience, also some other programs emerged. So for instance, in the year 2000, another program that emerged was the Preparation for Social Action, or as known as the PSA program, that it was really the first level of SAT, because the SAT program was for 6 years. So the first 2 years, we decided to offer it as a complementary education program called the Preparation for Social Action. And the idea was to reach thousands and thousands of youth that were maybe already going to high school, but that really wanted to be trained as promoters of community well-being. So for a training of 2.5 years, they will go through these materials, and then they will start different initiatives to serve their communities and to improve the conditions of their communities. That's where the Supporting Community Leaders program emerged, to serve the population of the PSA program and other youth in the community that really wanted to continue with this same purpose of becoming promoters of community well-being, but now in a period of their lives where they're entering higher education and they're defining their career path. So this program has 4 components. So as I was telling you, the first component is to orient them in choosing a career path. That can be either a university degree or a trade. And the idea is to accompany them through this process so that they can have access to what is there in the region, to the best programs that are available. and to have these conversations with family and with them about what really the region needs in terms of careers, in terms of trade, so that they can promote the well-being of their region. And also what we help them is to get in contact with different government agencies that have scholarships or that have the projects to help youth become educated in Colombia. The other component of this program is to really help them to connect with the community and try to see how they can serve their communities through the education of children, to the education of junior youth, to really enriching community life through different initiatives and projects. And then the other component is these seminars of complementary studies. So while they study at university, they come every 3 to 4 months together, and they reflect and study certain content that was chosen for this program. There are FUNDAEC materials, materials from the university center, that help them in some way to understand their identity as promoters of community well-being, that train them to serve their communities, and that help them connect what they're studying at university with the reality of their communities and see how can they better serve their communities. And the last component is financial support. You know that in Colombia, there's a great gap between youth that graduated from high school that could enter higher studies, and one of these obstacles is economical. So what the program tries to do is to support them with a percentage of their tuition fee to go to a university. And FUNDAEC has created a solidarity fund that helps them during their studies. And the idea is that when they graduate, they have jobs, they can feel this moral obligation to also contribute to this fund so that other youth in their region can become educated. As you know, FUNDAEC is a learning organization about development and is very interested in how to respond to the different challenges that Colombia is facing. And Colombia, and as different countries around the world, we think that there are two very main challenges that we're facing today. One first challenge is about food production. We know that the future is not so hopeful about what is going to happen with food production. So this is one challenge that we need to face and we need to respond to. And the other challenge is the environment. Colombia historically has a very great challenge about the use of land. Because as you know, because of different economic policies in the country, right now at the moment, 81% of the land in Colombia is owned by only 1% of the population. So this brings a lot of challenges for people in terms of using the land for food production, because it has been used right now for very few crops and with extensive agriculture. And as before, they were used by farmers to really produce the food that the family and the community needed in a diversified way, so that they will contribute to the nutrition of the very good and healthy nutrition of families. So that's a challenge that we also are wanting to face with this project that is called Strengthening Community Life and Local Economies. And the other challenge is that because of this, many of the native species in different regions of Colombia are being lost. And we want, with this project, to recuperate many of these native species that have really contributed for a long time to the nutrition of the population of Colombia. And so we are trying to motivate the youth to recuperate these native species by building small nurseries in their communities so that these species are not lost and they're preserved for the well-being of the community and Colombia. FUNDAEC decided to start this project to strengthen the service to the community activities of both the PSA program students and the supporting community leader students. So the idea is that during the pandemic, access to food, because of the economic situation in the country, was difficult to get access to. So we motivate them to start little initiatives of food production in their own communities, in their own houses. So some of them will come together as groups and try to identify land that could be used to cultivate food, either in large plots or at their homes, in the small places that they had available. But now we're thinking that we should complement this initiative also with an initiative of planting trees. Because as you know, trees provide are very important in ecosystems. There are many dimensions of why trees are so important in the life of ecosystems. So we decided with them to have this goal of this year, 2022, to plant 10,000 trees associated to the food production initiatives that they are already moving forward in their communities. So the idea is that each student at least plant 10 trees in collaboration with community members and local organizations.